DNC has liftoff on their 4-night event with a virtual twist. No applause to move the audience, laying bare the pressure on speakers to create the momentum needed from now until Election Day. So how'd they do? ABC's Lindsay Davis broke it down with our powerhouse political team.
I am joined now by Chris Christie, the former governor of New Jersey, Rahm Emanuel, the former mayor of Chicago, ABC News contributor Yvette Simpson, and Republican strategist Sara Fagen. So we just heard from the big headliner, Michelle Obama. Curious to get your take on it, Rahm Emanuel. I mean, she talked a lot about who he was as a person. Right before that, we had heard from Bernie Sanders. He really talked about policy for the first time, but she was kind of a character witness. Was she effective?
Well, she came with something to say. And she probably has a stature, given what she said up front, which I thought a powerful point was, you know, I don't like politics. But she came and she did a most effective takedown of this president and the consequences to all of us. And then a build up to what Joe Biden could be as a president in the country we all know, we all remember, and restore that country. So she did it on the character side. But I think she, you know, we were joking a little earlier. She's been holding this in for 3.5 years, and she came with something to say. And did it in a way that I actually think was quite effective, because it was very personal. And there was an authenticity that came with her voice, that it wasn't just a political speech from another person. She's not, you know, some people introduced her as a politician. She's not a politician. She's very clear about that. And I think there was an authenticity of the kind of frustration and anger of what we've seen, not only out of the Oval Office, but what it's impacted people's lives. And she knows that Joe Biden has a kind of judgment, the character, the empathy, you're going to hear that word constantly, that can actually drive us towards a better America, the America we all know and we all know is waiting to be awakened again.
Yvette, we heard from Bernie Sanders basically giving his full support to Joe Biden. Is that enough to try to unify progressives?
You know, I think Bernie carries a lot of weight, but I think what he did really, really well was, one, he put it out there right out front, authoritarianism. Do you want an authoritarian president? And Bernie can say it like no one else. He also, as you said, gave the policies, right? We've not heard this, okay, who are we voting for? What does he support? And I think he did it in a great way. And he also said, look, we don't agree, but guess what? I'm putting my support behind him because it's that important. And I think Bernie Sanders could do that like no one else. And I think a lot of progressives who have followed him will do it. And he's done this before. In 2016, he went out and campaigned on behalf of Hillary Clinton. I think this time, you know, progressives are really looking for him to say, here are the policies that we don't necessarily agree on. I'm going to work with Joe to make sure we get there once he's elected.
Governor, curious your response to Kasich basically saying country over party. There were 3 other Republicans who did the same. Does that help to sway anybody, to bring them over?
No. I mean, listen, I have great respect for Governor Whitman and for Meg Whitman, but no one knows who they are anymore, and no one really cares. And as for John Kasich, I spoke earlier about this. John doesn't have any credibility left in the Republican Party. So I don't think he's going to be swaying anybody there. And I don't think independents are tuned into what's going on with John Kasich a number of years after he's left office. So I think the most effective thing tonight, and we may look back on this and say the most effective thing of the week, was Michelle Obama's speech. You know, Rahm and I were speaking during the commercial. You know, she'd been waiting 4 years to say this. There was an emotion behind her speech tonight that, you know, didn't seem angry, but was passionate. And I think what we're going to look back on after this week is that the high point of this convention may turn out being this speech on the first night, because of who she is and how she delivered. You know, it's easy enough to write something like that, but to deliver it the way she delivered it, that was incredibly well done.
You know that scene in the movie when you open up the window and you scream, "I can't take this anymore"? That was that scene.
Sarah, curious to get your response to the idea that, you know, a number of people criticized President Trump for his handling of COVID. I mean, I think that one of the most damning statements of the night was from the young woman who lost her dad and said something to the effect of his only underlying condition was that he trusted President Trump. Do you think that perhaps this election could become a referendum on the way President Trump has handled coronavirus?
Well, I think it's certainly going to be the defining factor in the race, but there's still many months to go, and the outcome of COVID today could be different tomorrow. And so I think when you get to the Republican convention, you know, we're going to see Donald Trump talk about the many things the Trump administration has done to combat this. I think he's had some real struggles at the podium on this topic, but, you know, we are not talking today about people not getting ventilators. We are talking about record-breaking vaccine research. People have PPE, people have masks. You know, everybody has the tools they need to combat it. Not everybody is using them, but he deserves credit for how quickly that has gotten done.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, this is a very personal thing. I mean, given people are losing their lives. What's interesting about, so this is going to sound weird, but in a presidential election, the organizing principle of election is the economy. Because of COVID and because of the disruption, if you look at all the data coming in about how people are making a decision between Biden and Trump, COVID is the kind of grounding principle, whether you think, as I articulated, I don't think people share that view, but whether they think he's done the best he can or they are very negative about him. And COVID is pushing your view of the economy to the sideline, and the kind of centrifugal force is around your view about COVID. And that's why both empathy and COVID are becoming the two dominant themes in the convention, because those are the two qualities and issues that are going to drive this election and people's decisions.
I'm going to stick with you just for a last minute here before we wrap. How does Joe Biden effectively connect with voters when he's not out on the campaign trail? And based on what you saw tonight, is this a way to do it?
Well, you know, I think this is, first of all, you're going to get a lot of surrogates, and they're going to document that, etc. He has, I think there is a part of him, it's going to be hindered in the same way that President Trump can't do rallies. This is going to affect Joe Biden, but there is that empathy and authenticity to him that comes through. And I know it personally, having seen it up close and been also a recipient of his empathy.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.